Hey guys, here is the start of the campground mock that I'm finally getting around to. And so here I have this part here, and I got a little demonstration here. Right on the left, this is the existing campground that I had before. And here's what I've been working on now. So I got my campers, placements, all that stuff. And here is this part that's supposed to join with the existing campground, which doesn't exist, but I'm making everything modular. For those who don't know, I do a lot of the custom stuff, so this is different than set building. Things are going to be a bit more raw here. And yeah, so in this installment, I'd like to get the roads laid out and possibly the campground spurs set up. Or maybe we'll just do the roads today. And for those who don't know what modular is, it's basically sections of a build. Which is what they call a Mills plate, which is a modular interlocking landscaping set. Okay, so basically we take a bunch of these plates and we just lay them out. I don't like that one with the crack in there. I'll see if I got another one. Yes, I had a house on this one and dropped it. I'm surprised I didn't break off all the way. And this campground is this set here is going to be a little bigger than I usually do. Usually I do them 4x4s. This will be a 2x2. This will be a 4x4. Okay. So I won't be able to fit it all in one frame for those who are interested in that. So let me dig out another plate. Now, I don't have anything else that's healthy, but this is what I have. And don't worry, you won't see any of this. It'll all be covered up with plates and bricks and stuff. Now, in my last campground installment that I had on my main channel, this over here was 2 bricks tall. So I want to kind of elevate this up a bit and make this probably about 3 bricks tall in this corner here. Give the road a little bit more of a curve. There'll be a T section here. So we got the big deluxe motorhome, I got the cozy camper, and I got that economy travel trailer. I think that's what that is. Okay. So my whole intent is to fit all those campers on here with a road going down. And I have a bunch of these medium nougat and dark tan or brick yellow bricks, 2x2s. I pull those out. It's easy for me to lay the road out like that. Okay. So what I want to do, and this is not really critical in how these roads are laid out. I can get away with doing a little bit of rough work. So, and of course, oh yes, if I bump into the camera, read the disclaimer in the description. I want to leave everything separate here. Okay. Now, I thought I had these done in the last installment, or at least in a shorts video, but I didn't. I do have this up on the computer, so I can pull it up and see. So, this doesn't tell me anything, and we all know how Lego is. They don't even have a mobile app for stud. So, go figure there. I won't need these right now, because my main focus is here. Okay. So basically the road kind of starts around here. It kind of barely tickles this. Maybe put it right about there. I'm trying to keep everything with even number studs. I don't like to mess with odds. And I need to join it up with this corner here. Okay. Now, the beauty of doing meal style, and here's what a lot of people don't get. Some people just stick all the plates together. That's fine, but if you want to move it, it would be very difficult. So what my goal is to make this in such a way that I can break the build down and move it around. So that big camper is going to sit here. Now, This is the perfect time to make mistakes and mess up. All right. Now my last campground thing, I was using this medium nougat as kind of like a damp soil and tan as a dried soil. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing here. Okay. So now I have to start planning ahead. And then if I need to fill in later on, I'll just use some 1x1s. I think maybe this was going to go like this. Now, I can't put nothing here, so I have to skip this guy and do it like that, because I want this to be separated. And oh, and by the way, this is not meant to be a how-to or anything like that. This is just my idea. Okay. Mainly I'm going off of a rough building guide, and I'm also going off of my imagination. Put that right there. So that big fifth wheel will sit here. Let me go get that real quick. First I got to get myself untangled here. I got lots of wires. So we all remember how big this monster here was here. So this was one of the first motorhomes I built. And that is supposed to fit like that. Okay. And that's essentially what we have here. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure I have enough room for the road, for it to be backed in here, and enough for accessories. Like I'm going to have a few trees back here and stuff like that. And I want to have, you know, like a little fire ring, a picnic table, barbecue, stuff like that, bear-proof cabinet, whatever I had in the last one. And that's pretty much what it is. Okay, so in order to build the campsite spur, I'm going to get, I need to get some different colored bricks real quick. Why the different colors? Because I'm going to raise that up by 2 plates. So I think in this installment we're just going to do roads. All right, I found a few more of these, so we'll drop that in the bin. And then I'm just going to kind of mark where the camper's at, like back here and stuff. May not be able to see that very well. And basically all this is going to do is let me know exactly how I want to place this. Okay, I'm just going to give it some markers here. And yes, it's all guesswork. That's where I want the parking spur to be. Okay, so essentially, move that out of the way. That would be campsite probably number 4. Haven't figured it out yet. I don't really have a specific numbering system for these yet. And remember what I said, I want to bring it out about here. Well, I don't want to get confused, so I'm not going to do anything else with that. So that is going to be where the camper is going to be parked. How do I do that? I would just take some plates, stagger them out, taper it to the road. Now remember, I said I'm going to bring this up here at 2 bricks high. This end in the far right will be 3 bricks high. So I'm going to have to kind of make the terrain a bit more, you know, unlevel. This campsite here will be up on a slight hill. This one here I'm going to leave it flat with this corner here. It'd be a little easier. I'm going to kind of build this one flat at this point and taper it down like this. Remember the other side where that last campsite was, over here, it kind of was down a little bit. So I'm going to come in here, kind of leave this a little bit sharp on this corner, taper it pretty hard, and then just kind of have a flat area for this. It's easy to build with flat stuff. Now you can build your campsite on a hill, but you got to make sure you have flat areas for like the campfire ring and stuff like that. It's not like real life. You know, if you put plates, it's going to look kind of weird. Trying to keep everything unleveled. You know? So there we go. Now, I don't need this anymore, and I don't need this anymore. So I can set these off to the side, and now I can focus on the remaining 2 areas, which now I got to find the plates for. And Put that in the back there. That'll be buried up under some plates and bricks and stuff. Now, I don't know how far I'm going to go with the whole build of this and stuff, so just bear with me here. Now, I got to get back on the computer because I need to see where that T intersection starts. All right. It's very critical. Now, I'm going to have to take these out anyways. Remember, I'm going to be raising the road up. I'm not going to do that here in this installment because that's just too much, you know, we'll see how far we'll get on it here. It looks like I go, you know, whatever. So I just start grabbing random pieces and place them in. So I'm going to say that, oh, we got dark orange in there. We'll just leave that in there. That this is just going to be a damp soil and stuff like that. Now, doing stuff on a computer is fine, but nothing beats than doing it in real. Now, I want to do this in real life, not kind of figure out what I'm doing here. All right. And basically, essentially, I'm copying a picture at this point here. Now, when I get to building the terrain part, it won't be too bad. Okay. And I figured when I was getting prepared for these, I thought, you know what would be better if I start building the campsite? Let's just do it on video and that kind of thing. You know, start building it on video to get motivated in doing this here. Okay. And then when I'm done, I'll take a picture and use it as a thumbnail. Okay. Like I said, I will raise these up. And how do you raise them up? You would, a couple ways you can do it. You can stick plates and put the bricks on top. But since the middle of this is going to be tan anyways, maybe I'll give you guys a demonstration of how I want to get it done here. All right. Okay, so here we have the road on the other side. Okay, so now this is not necessarily where the road is going to start. I may have some foliage on here. I don't know yet. Now, when you get into this type of thing, just remember that you can change it to whatever you want. It looks like that's 10 studs. That road's awfully narrow. Maybe I had it like that because I have another trailer down there too. And I had this one here like that. I'm just roughly doing it off of this right here. I have it zoomed in. I can't see the studs on it, but if you've ever been into a campground, you know the roads on those things are not getting on the freeway, express rate, or whatever you want to call it. It's they're meant to be. It's pretty rugged. Looks like this one here. Yeah. And if I make a mistake, guess what? I can just tweak this around too. Now, when I get to here, I want to make sure I don't cover this joint. So if you're building this, you know, building your own design, you want to make sure you can break the joint. Okay? Okay. Now, after we get done with that, this kind of continues on here, and then I kind of go back into this road here. So, like I said, you can get a little sloppy with this. It's not going to matter. Then we'll place our last two campers. Matter of fact, we're going to call this road layout and camper placement for this installment here. So just imagine all those guys who don't want to sub to this channel. They're going to be missing out on a lot because they won't know what I'm doing here. Now remember, I got to come in here and do this one too. Let's start joining this up here with this. Kind of want to slowly curve it in here. So we're going to start doing that. Kind of give it a little more of a soft curve to it there. Something like that. And there you go. So just imagine if I had the other two pieces joined with this, it'd be pretty large. Okay. Okay, I need to find the other campers. So some of my campers have already been losing their tops and bumpers and stuff. So I gotta find those. They're in a bin. So what I have here is the cozy camper goes here. All right. Let me pull out the leveling jacks on these. And yes, there is a complete building guide for all these. Well, actually, no, there's no building. There's building guide for this one here. There's a building guide for this one. Oh, wait a minute. These all have building guides. I don't know about this one, but I know this one has a building guide because I had to struggle to get it done. So the little camper goes here. I want to make sure I still have enough for a campsite. So I'm going to come back here and kind of roughly mark this. Now I got to remember too, I got to plan for a vehicle to be parked in front of here. So put it right about there. Okay, get a few more of those, and what we'll do is we'll slowly just mark the campsite spurs. And I may end up giving a demonstration on how that goes together, on how I want to do it. Before we can start really raising up our roads, I want to do the campsite spurs first. Then I can tie the road into it. You could do it the other way around, but it can get pretty sloppy. So here, there's this one here. That's where that trailer goes. Okay. We have this one here, but this is kind of unstable, so let's move these out of the way. And I can't wait to get that new room, because this is, I have a big counter in there I can work on compared to this. And then here's the last camper here. I really want to take these apart and build some new campers. So I've had these for a while, they're all dusty and kind of falling apart. Let me just pull out all the leveling jacks. But I always like to save them for the final build. And then this camper doesn't go like this, it actually went like this. Okay. And this one's kind of in between that road, I'm not sure. In the last portion of the campground there was a flower bed here. Or like an ivy patch, a really kind of like a damp area right here. So I kind of want to back into that a little bit, and then put, you know, the vehicle, park it right about here. Okay. So just like with a typical campground, that's what you're doing. Let's take a look. Matter of fact, I think I have this one back right up into here, because there's a lot of space here. So I may just do that. I gotta remember there's another part to this too. Let me take a look at it on the computer. I even have it marked for trees. All right. So it's about where it's supposed to be at now. Okay. Now a lot of the big Lego YouTubers will not show you all this stuff in the back, in the behind the scenes. Why? It takes too much time for them. They're worrying about the views, not about the content quality. Here I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So, that's our campsite spur for that one. That means I can park a vehicle here, put a bunch of trees, flatten it off here for whatever. Now, what am I planning on putting in this part here? It'll probably eventually be a river, a stream, or a lake. Maybe leaning more towards a lake. I'm not going to build a whole lake. I would have to have about an acre of land for that. You know, maybe something about that much to make a lake for this. And I don't. I mean, I'm on an acre, but I don't think I would be able to use all my valuable space that I have here at home just to build a whole campground. So, and an acre for a lake in real life would be like a little fish pond. But that's pretty much how I want it set up there. Okay. Now, that having been said, we can take a look at all the parts. That's where I want the camper to be. Now, as you see now, all these are modular. I can bring all these other pieces over right now. I have 6 individual portions. I only have to worry about right now there's a couple things I have to worry about. You know, first off, we got rid of one, which is road placement, campsite, spur placement, right? That's a given, that's done. Now I got to focus on topography. What topography is basically, well, in layman's terms, terrain. And I have to have all the terrain pieces line up. I don't want to have, like, I build one of these and the terrain just shoots up by 6 bricks. That wouldn't look really well. So I have to work a little bit on everything. I can either work from low to high or high to low. Okay? Now, I'm going to be focusing on campsite spurs right now. So, this piece here went in the top corner. I want to make this up to about 3. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, we're going to start with that one first. Okay? And I'm going to set everything else off to the side here. So yeah, some campsites will be broken up into 2 or 3 different pieces. So we're going to focus on that one there. Okay? So let me get everything situated here for you. And yeah, that's the beauty about doing these type of videos. They're pretty raw, and that's what they are. Let me get that focused in. And then, now there's also another way I can do this too, and to keep it more simplified is I could just leave this 2 along with the other one. This row would be up at 2 here. It's going to kind of go up here. But if I'm going to do that, I may as well do a 3 and just bring this up a little higher. So what I mean by 3 studs or 3 bricks. I'm just going to put 3 bricks and stick a plate on top. Okay, and that'll be it. It's a little more complicated because I got to make it strong for play. I don't play with this stuff, but I'd like to make it strong anyways. So I'm keeping everything mill style. So it means I got to leave some spots here to connect these plates up together. That'll be buried under the road. All I'm worrying about right now is building up this campsite area here. So there's going to be a road here. I may keep the road at 2 and taper this up to 3. I don't know how I want to do it yet. Maybe just bring the road up to about here and then leave it at a 3. Okay. Well, let me go get some plates here and I'll show you what I'm doing. I got to have a visual for you. And I do have a couple of them in here. And I thought I had a small one. Oh, there I do. Okay. I'm using sand yellow as dry dirt. On a beach, it's wet dirt. Here, it's going to be dry dirt in a campground. Okay, something like that. But I can't place those in there. What I'll end up doing is I'll build this up and stick these in here like so. Then I can come in here and just do my terrain gig. This is not going to fit here. So what do? What I usually do is I just rearrange plates a little bit. All right. I just do it like that. Just set them in there. I'm not worrying about the height right now or the topography. This is going to taper up. I want to have some of this covered up with vegetation. I'll plate this off. This part here you're going to see right here. There's going to be a little campground area here with it being on a little bit of a hill, some shrubbery and stuff. So I need to find some more of these and go about there. Okay. That's still not enough. If I put my camper here, my camper is going to fit in here. I'm going to have to come out to about here. So I'd have to actually find more of this tan stuff. And that's what I'm saying. These are kind of hard to do them live or recording these. I may have to do update videos on some of this, but I kind of want to show you guys what I'm involved with here. So if I want to raise this guy up, make a mill style plate. First off, you don't need to fill everything under here with brick. That's just silly. Just put some pillars underneath it. As long as you can press down on this without caving this in is fine. And I have about 10, 12, 16 of these. I have plenty of these. But as you saw though, I don't want to be butt up against the road. I kind of want to go up to about, because this right here, I'm going to leave this road probably at a 2. This campsite over here is at a 2. This one I'm going to leave it at a 3. The best thing to do is to kind of build a little bit of a harsh terrain here, like it's been carved out of the hill. Okay. Okay. First off, it's okay to go odd numbers because I'm going to cover this up. But if I'm going to have this here, I don't want to do that. So I need to find probably some. This is only off by, if I put 4 here, I would just have to kind of carve it up a little bit. That's okay if some of this is exposed, because it'll blend in with this. Okay. Because this will be all terrained in. So my honest opinion with this is probably get some 4x plates, maybe like, you know, a couple of 4x8s and set them in here. And then just kind of taper around. So let's start building up our campsite spur. For this one, let me grab a bunch of 2x2s and 2x4s. We'll start with our mill style first. So what I'm going to do is push this back off here, place this here. Now I'm not going to keep these here. This is just a marker. These right here are going to be so we can attach other portions of our campground together in the future. So I'm starting to prepare the mill's plate now. Okay, so we're just going to prepare that. Okay, all these are going to be hidden. You won't see them. They're just meant to stick some friction pins in there and you can go to town. The reason why I'm placing these in now, because I'll forget them. All right, get that right where it's supposed to be at. And then I need to get some bricks and stuff like that and build this terrain up. Okay, I may just go ahead and stop the video and then I can come back and tell you, because I think it'd be just too much to show you here. My goal, though, is to build up a flat area for a campsite. Okay. I raised up my terrain in the back here, 3 bricks, and I kind of slowly tapered it off. And yes, for you guys out there who don't want anybody to know that you have these color bricks like purples, pinks, magentas and stuff, you can shove your undesirable colors inside the terrain. Now I had to pull out pretty much the whole road here, or the outline of the road. But I did use that as a marker. Now, when I did this, I designed it in such a way that my joints will line up here. Okay, I may need to put a little pillar here. But remember, I'm going to be traversing down. This is going to be about a brick and a half to 2 bricks up to here. So I'm going to use plates underneath this portion of the road. So I can just put on other stuff here, or I can raise this up and make a platform. It just depends on my mood and how I like to do things. So I can just take some undesirable color plates, shove them in here, or just use these and just kind of blend them in. I wish I could do this, but it wouldn't look too good. But as you can see right now, so far, so good. Okay. And now is going to be the time to take all this out of here. And how do I go about doing this? You know, what plate do I use in here? Remember, I'm going to have the road right here, or the edge of the campsite. Now, I don't want to do that. Okay. So I'm going to need to build this up and tie it into here. Okay, remember I'm going to be, this right here is going to be probably about, put this here. I don't know how I'm going to do this yet. Maybe plate that off and just make this into 3. And this right here be 3 1/3. Because campsite spur is going to sit here. Let's do a better visual. Road here. Probably do the campsite spur here. Let's just tack that in. And I want to have a transition. Maybe just have it a plate off from the roads. This will be higher than the road, just by one plate. Okay, you want to be tacked down, huh? We'll do that. So build this up a little bit and leave this a little low and just kind of transition for this. Now when I do the campsite, I'm also going to kind of swoop it in here a little bit. So now I have a foundation here and I got one in the back. Now, when you build this, you're gonna, if you have a bunch of junk bricks like I do, like ones that are scuffed, scratched up, discolored, you can shove them in here too, as well as with these. Okay. So, where do I start with the campsite? Well, I got plenty of these big plates. I could start there. And I was talking about the road's going to come up to about here. And I can start the campsite here. I don't have a 10 to put in there. So an 8 would stop here. Let me grab a couple of those. I have plenty of 4 or 8 by 16 plates. Now, if I have to order some of these, well, they do have this color on Pick-a-Brick. And that's it. I do not have any more of those. That's the only one I have. How do I go about doing this here? Oh, I have one more. Never mind, I spoke too soon. So here's another one here. Here, remember the trailer went right about here. It's okay to do this here because I'm going to have some foliage right in this corner, so I can just put a plate here and just kind of taper around. I could wrap around here. I mean, so I could probably stick another little plate here and just kind of swerve around like this. Okay, and this is the road. Let's stick that in there for the road. Well, let's not use that. Let's use that for the road there. Okay. Now you can see my dilemma there. So, I do have some 6 stud wide plates. That would be perfect here. Here I can grab a 6 and a 4, make a 10. That would get me right up against the road, and that would work just as good. So I may not even need that plate at all in that corner. Now, let's start building up the campsite spur. Let's make this where we can actually put stuff on it. Okay. So first things first is I'm going to just kind of line up something there. And obviously I really don't use yellow. Stick those in there. That's what you'll be doing. And that's kind of how you do things. And now I can just shove that in there. Well, I want that more evenly, so we'll just pop that out, move it over there. Now, don't just do that, because this is pretty springy, and you don't want to press down on that and crack that. Those are a couple of bucks. You don't want to waste money just breaking bricks. That's not fun. So I need to cobble up some more, and yes, it is, I don't know what day it is today. It's Friday. So if we shove that there, and that's okay, I can live with that. Still want to get rid of the springiness. Now you notice I haven't committed to pressing that down. When you're doing this type of thing, guys and gals, don't use your greens, your blue, don't use any earth tones, because you may need them for your terrain. So you just plan ahead when you're doing this type of thing here. I got a 3 and a 5. Let's evenly balance that out. And I may want to put something in the middle here. So what I'm going to do is grab a couple of these here. And boy, these are really kind of hard going together. Probably because I don't use light purple. I may want to put maybe one more in the middle. I mean, Lego does it, you know. And now I can set that there. Now, I don't want to commit to that just yet. because I don't know what else I'm doing here. Now remember I said I'm going to bring the road up just a little bit here. So I'm going to use this plate here. But I have to remember, I don't want my road and then just dirt here. There's going to be a driveway here. That's fine. I can live with that. But I may want to put some greenery. How do I do that? Just put a bush or something in there. So I think the best thing to do is to use one of these here. Remember, I'm going to plan ahead for a road. So I think what we're going to do is stick something in there and plan ahead. Remember I tell you to plan ahead. Well, what color would I put in there? I may need these for roads. It's easier to work with plates, or stick some plates at the bottom and stick these. You can do that down here too. But here you go. Okay. So what do we do now? It depends on how I want the road to be. So I got to plan ahead unless I change my mind. If I want this to just be soil, do something like that. Okay. Let's say the road is not going to be this high. I want a little harsh of a curve. Let's go ahead and let's use some dark gray in there. And then we'll put some right here. Okay, just crisscross it like that. And that's kind of sloppy, right? If you don't want it to be that sloppy, you don't have to go sloppy. Okay, you can do that too. But pressing down on that, that's just going to come apart. So I may have to stick some bricks in here. And this is where you can get a little sloppy with things. And see if I can find some more random colors in here. So if I stick, let's say I stick, and I'm thinking of more and more sticking, I could stick a 6 in there too. But I need to build up this back part of this. I'm just going to shove this right here. I'm just going to leave it like that, in case I ever need to add on to this. And that right there is a little okay. May want to put one more brick in here. This is going to support this. Kind of springy in the middle. I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is probably bring this over like this. You notice I'm keeping this open here because I want to put a road there. Okay. And then maybe I can add more onto this. Remember, like I said, I'm not really going to be pressing on this hard. Now, if you're going to make this for play, you may want to make this really strong. Now, I'm doing mine just for looks. This is something I'm going to be putting on demonstration for a few months. Then out she goes. Okay, we got this corner here. What do I do about that corner? Remember, the road is going to be right here, and it's going to round. Well, that's okay there. So what I'm going to do is build another one of those goofy little pillars. I mean, I don't use bright red for ground, so I think we're fine there. But what I'm going to do is grab some dark gray. Remember, the road is probably going to traverse down a little bit here. So wait a minute. What I think I'm going to do is use some nougat in there. Remember, I said something about the road. And the road's going to be traversing down a little bit. So if I come in here and do something like this, this is in the way. I can't have that. So I'm going to do it like this. So now I can button my road up against the side of the mountain here. I'm going to stick that there. Well, let's move this. And yes, when you're doing this, if you're ripping stuff apart constantly, you're on the right track to becoming a mock builder because you'll be doing a lot of that. Remember, like I said, here's where I want my road to start tapering down a little bit here. So if I may see this corner, this is not going to be seen. Okay? So now I got 2 pieces of my campsite spur put in. That means now if I can find the cozy camper, the only one that can fit in this campsite spot here. That's where we had it at before, right there. There you go. Except if this guy walks out, he's not going to have a desirable place to look at. Now, let's take a look now at this. You can put a campfire ring here and a table here. What I want to do is I want to kind of swoop around and go around like this. Okay. So what I could do, the road is right here, but the road kind of wraps around. I got to be very careful because I want terrain to be poking through here. And this is not really desirable. So let's start planning here out and see what we want to do. And I think honestly, what I could do is I could use a couple of 6s. And what I mean by 6 is 6x plates. 6x6, 6x8, whatever I want to use. 6x8s are usually easy to work with. So if I decide to do that, I'm going to keep these 4 studs apart. If I'm using an 8, at least want it to line there. Okay? So just plan ahead when you're building these things. Don't be... If you're limited on bricks, like I said, just use your colors you're not... I'm not going to use yellow in here, obviously, so... It may be for flowers, but... See now, if I can get a 6x8, I would have that ready to go. Now, if I use some 4x plates... Remember, I was talking about bringing this around here. All right, I'm going to bring a 4 here. Now, remember what I said, we got to plan ahead. So, what I'm planning on doing here, here's the road. The road's going to sit here. I need to plan ahead in such a way. Okay? So, if I have the road here, I want my terrain here. We don't want to use yellow. So, the best thing to do is start using some greens, some actual earth tone colors here. Okay, remember what I said? We're going to have to put the road here. Okay, if you put a 6 there, unfortunately we're not going to be able to fit that in. So I need to build the terrain up a bit more. So, just grab a few more of these here. I got plenty of green. Now, if you don't have a lot of green, you don't have to do this. And just start setting things in here, like that. Now, what I can do later on, I can just add slopes and stuff in here. Okay, that gets me this. If I put this here, see, if I cut that down and make that into a 6, I have more than enough space to have my hilltop here and kind of just blend it in with some plates. Now, I'm at 3 bricks here. So now we're at the point to where we can start building terrain. And see how this is getting unstable? You could stuff more bricks at the bottom. Okay. Now I gotta look at my, I don't know if I can find the tablet. When you're in a very small, confined little Lego room, it gets to be a kind of a chore to do these type of projects. Now, I have to pay attention to my roads because now things are going to get a little critical. Okay. So let's start putting our roads back in here. We're just going to start placing it. Now see, I can come in here and take some slopes, come on this road, blend it in, and it will look really good. So we're just going to start setting these back in here. Okay, we're just going to, well, let's put, like this one here is supposed to be pushed back, like this. I can't do that now. Okay, this brick's supposed to be pushed back, but remember, I don't care about the roads. We're going to stick some plates in here to build up terrain. It just needs to be roughly this layout. So if you're getting to this, you don't have to build it exactly how you planned it. You may not be able to do that. Okay, and the next thing here, we can grab a couple of these, some 2x4s. Remember, the road's going to wrap around here now. These bricks are going to be here. Well, why do that, right? When I can just shove these in here. Okay, and there you go. And that takes care of the road. It means I can come around here and wrap around here, but I got a hole there. Remember, I'm going to be hiding this with terrain. So I can just stick a slope in there too. Don't worry about that, because I am going to put some plates in here to kind of fill that void in. Now, mind you, we're still working on the campsite spur. We're not doing terrain right now, but I got to prepare for it. Now, remember I said I was going to bring the road down a little bit. So the best thing to do if I'm going to bring the road down is to start having it carve into the side here. Now, right here in this area, I think I had in my notes, is like a brick and 2/3. Okay, so it means I'll stick some plates in here. You know, a brick and 2/3 means I'd have to peel all this out or stick some plates. I got some plates that I could use. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is kind of give the road a little bit of an uphill here. It's going to be going down this way. Stick that there. That's probably the only way to do it. Or, you know, you can do this too. Okay, that's quite all right. And then you can just taper in and fill this in with some plates and kind of slowly bring it down. That's my intent. Now remember, I said I was going to bring the mountain part down here too. I could do that and just build this terrain up really short, or I can make it sharp here and just stick some slopes in here. Okay, or put some gray and make it look like there's boulders. There's millions of ways of doing this. But now this is giving me a layout for the road. Okay, remember I got to come around this corner here softly. So basically we'll do this. And where do I get all these type of bricks from? These came from Minecraft sets. You know how a lot of guys despise Minecraft sets? Yeah. What do I always get that question, Jay, where do you get all those special colors at? Minecraft sets. That's where they all come from. Okay. Remember what I said, now I got to bring the road up this way. Okay. So remember I have to make this curve here. Still working on this now. Okay. So now I need to come in here and let me find some plates and we'll start getting that zoned out. So I have a few 6x8 plates in this color, as you can see. Not too terribly bad. Now if you kind of get paranoid, you can put a 2x2 column underneath there. Okay, so now we're getting ourselves a campsite built up. I have enough room here probably for a fire ring, but where do I put my table at? I'm going to round this up here. Now I can't just shove, or maybe I could shove one right here. Okay, stick that in there like that. I would need to get a 6x6 there. Remember I said I'm going to round around this corner. Could I do it like this? You know, let me just tack that corner in there. You know, I could do that. Road's here, but this is pretty sharp. So I need to come in here and put a pillar there. So I'm going to grab 2 yellows and a green, because I'm going to be tapering down the flower bed here. Remember, I'm building up the road here. Okay. So if I do that, that gives me this right here. How do I fill that in? I don't know yet. Or I could just come in here and do that. Okay. Very simple. And then that gives me this soft contour right here. Gives me that contour. So that means I can come here and stick a 1x1 or just stick some slopes in here, kind of feather this up, some plates, and here's some more of these. Remember I was talking about not doing this. I was going to stick some 4s in here. Now here's the road. Come here and blend this in a little bit with some plates. Leave this here and that would be okay. Okay, that would be okay as a topsoil type deal. Oh, and by the way, when you're getting into this type of thing, you will hoard up a bunch of 6x8 plates, but I don't really have them in the colors that I need. So what this tells me is that next time I place an order to get some of these, some more sand yellow. Okay, now come around here. I'm going to come right about here. That means I can come in here and stick some greenery. I think honestly the best thing to do for me to do is to stick some more bricks in here. And what I mean by that is so I can piece this together. Okay, so instead of sticking some 6x8s, we'll stick some 4x8s there and hoping I have those in that color. I think I do. Matter of fact, I have the bin over here within arm's reach. Okay, what do we do about that? Just stick a 2x2 in there. I got to get up and get that one too. Before I do, let me see if I can rustle up some of these. So I think, there we go. Now this will work with any color terrain you want. Now, I have enough space here for a campfire ring right there. Or I can put the table there too. And that leaves me with bringing the terrain over a little bit here, leaving it open here and just putting a plate down in this area. Then bringing it back over this, put some bushes in here, and put a little table or something in there. Okay, now we have this hole left. If I shove that in there, that's pretty close. So let's say I stick with that, okay? I stick with that. It's kind of sloppy there, but now we have a campsite spur. So far, I got everything set up to here. I got to backfill this hole in here because I don't know if I'm going to see that or not. This one here, I'm going to cover it with some plates. So there'll be the terrain that's going to wrap around here. I'm not really filling that corner, so what do I do about it? I don't think I have a 4x10 in that color. This way here is just as fine. If I were to tack that in that way, that's okay. But now we have this hole here. And remember, I'm just going to come around right here. I could just get a 2x6 and throw it in here, and it would be fine. Okay, first off, let's get rid of this unstable mess. Now remember, I'm going to have the terrain right here, but I want to have it like a dirt road's been carved out. So obviously I can't stick that there. But what I can do is not waste a good color. Remember, the road's going to sit right down on this here. Now, another way to cheat is just to take some plates and set them there and just plate it on top, which is what I was talking about doing. It saves a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is pop this out here, shove that blue in there. No one's ever going to know, right? As long as I get to line my joint up there, that's going to be road plate number 1. Then I can just do whatever, I can do my thing on top of that. Here's my problem. Okay, how do I get around this hole here? That's the big problem. So I got some dirt here. This is going to be part of the road. The road's going to be kind of on a slight tilt here. And here, I kind of want to build it up a bit. So I could stick this here or here. Now remember, I'm going to be building up terrain here. So let's grab another undesirable brick color. You'll be hearing me say that a lot in here. So this will be camping spur number 1. For the, if anybody's indexing the videos, that's what it's going to be called. And see, then I can come in here and build up my terrain. And then I can bump it out one more time, or just do it like this, and then fill these in with smaller bricks. Well, right here. Just fill in with some smaller bricks. Okay. And this right here, there'll be mostly dirt here anyways. You know, because I want to keep this solid road at this point. This right here, I want to start doing that. So I need to get, let's dispose of a yellow in here. Set that right there. Plan ahead now. I may need to stick some bricks or plates in here, so I'm going to hang that over by just that much. It gives me a little thing there. Well, Jay, that's level there. Yeah, but remember, I'm going to be bringing up my road here. Well, you know what? Maybe we could just fill that in. That would be safer. I'd rather be safe than sorry, guys. And why? Why do I want to be safe? Because I don't want to have to rip this apart later on. All right, remember I got to plan ahead here again. So we'll set that there. We got this guy here. Okay, so that keeps that corner in, and you have another corner to tie in. Well, I can't put that there, but I can put it there, huh? Stick that there. And that's pretty much what you're doing there, pretty much at this point. Okay, now I have that part of the terrain built. Now, if you've noticed, I'm just blindly working at this. Nothing special. So, I can stick this guy here and it would be okay. And just fill this in here, or just get a 6x6 and fill it in here. Or just get a 6x8. That's fine. Honestly, this would be sturdier here, and then just come here and put like a 2x4 in this area. Remember, I have this green here. So what I can do is I can come in and just take a 1x4, or just stick a green plate in there and just leave it like that. I do have a picnic table that I still have. It's somewhat still put together. Let me dust that off for you, because it's got 20 million inches of dust on it. And it's missing 3 legs. That's what it is. And it's reddish brown. We got to be careful. You put your table here. Campfire ring would sit here. And one more piece that I have that I've kept. That's why I keep all these parts when I do this. And I have building guides for all this stuff too, if you're interested, is the barbecuer. I got tons of parts around me right now just to do this one thing. Here's the barbecuer. Set that barbecuer. We'll put the fire ring here, and you could put the barbecuer here, like this, right? Just set that down somewhere. See what I mean? It's kind of jiggly, but that's a good thing. Fire ring goes here, and you can set your picnic table right there. Okay. And you could just rearrange things if needed. And that's pretty much how the campsite would be. Okay. Am I happy with this? Yes. This right here, I don't know about that, but remember I'm going to have landscaping that's probably going to jump over this, because I want to kind of bring it around with the road. I may fill this guy in here with a 1x4 tan. I don't know what I'm going to do with this yet. But the camper's going to be pushed probably right there. That's more than enough room that I need just to make the campground. Okay. So, yeah, I'm satisfied. Everything's where I want it to be. Okay. Now, I got one more thing to take care of, and that's the tapering this part of the road off here. Let's pull off all the accessories. Okay. And now I need to start planning the upper portion of the taper of the road. Right here. We were talking about this earlier. Before we do, let's start committing. Let's take all these off here. And then, am I happy with this? Yes. I'm not going to be really pressing down on this, so I'm just going to slowly press that in here because I want to commit to this now. So I'm just going to work around and do it very slowly. And don't be in a rush to try to get that all done. It will not do you any good. You know? Now, just mind you, I got to make 6 of these guys. Once this is done, I can add the trees, the bushes. I have building guides for those. And then that's pretty much what it is. That's going to be easy to get done. Let's make sure here. See, this didn't go down all the way. Ooh. Yeah, you're going to have to really crunch that in there. If this was reddish brown, this would have shattered by now. And some people say I bitch too much about that color breaking. Well, this is a very expensive hobby. I don't want to see this stuff getting brittle and breaking. We'll set that there. Since now I'm happy with this part of it, I'm going to set these down in here next. Just slowly piece those in. Okay. Here's another one. So now when you're camping, you know exactly what's underneath that dirt. It's hollow. Alright, and then we're going to stick these here. Now remember, I have a little bit of a joint here, so I'm going to hold these down here, make sure this doesn't come apart. Now you can see how this is starting to buckle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back butter these. Now you guys wonder why I do not do complete tutorials on these, because these are kind of hard to put together. A lot of things can go wrong. It's meant to be sturdy when you're done building. Alright, and I think we're going to have to back butter this one to be safe. And then we'll set that down in there. Okay. Got a nice flat building surface. You could put a cabin on there if you wanted to and just have some nice terrain. Okay, now we were talking about, we're going to do this. I'm going to cover this up here. What I'm going to do, and it's just something I just realized, I'm going to peel these up just a hair. Just wiggle this around and put this right here. You'll be doing a lot of this when building. Okay, now, there you go. It doesn't take a lot of pressure to put a picnic table or a fire ring on these, so I'm not too worried about it now. That part's done. Now we got to worry about this side. This side here is done to my liking. I'm just going to come in here, build the terrain up here. I'm not going to do it in this installment, or maybe I could. We'll see how it goes. Now I want to focus on this area here. Now remember I said I was going to do something like this and taper the road into this. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull this out here, flip this like this. Now I may use these. If I decide to use them, that's what I'll do. Okay. Now, it's easier to stick bricks on top of a plate like this. Okay. That's what I've done in the past. And it's easier to drop them down in modular form. See, I got this offset height. And then if I don't like it, if it's too low, I can just come in here and put some studs and raise it up very slowly. So, well, if I'm dropping this thing down exactly 3 bricks, one of these is going to be too high. So I need to take out a few of these here. So we're going to take out just a handful of these, wiggle that out of there. I'm going to stick this here. Remember, I got to plan ahead though. And stick that there because I'm going to, oh, wait a minute. No, we're not going to do that. You know why? Because I'm going to sink this down. So we don't want to do that. Grab another undesirable color. Well, these are not bad colors. It's just I don't need them for the build that I'm currently working on now. So we're going to start with this 6x8. Stick that in there. See it fits. Okay, good. We're done with that. This one doesn't quite reach. I don't like using 8x8s in this, or 2x8 bricks. So I save those for beams. Just stick some stuff in here. We're just going to slowly piece this together. Okay. All right. You won't see that steel. No biggie. No biggie at all. Stick this here. This piece is sticking out too far. I need to take this out and move that back. Well, I don't want to move it back, so guess what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to put this here. Now I got that portion of the road, and I'm happy here. I don't know about the, oh, there is something underneath there. Okay. I can stick this here, and I'm happy with it. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this plate in now. Okay. we're going to stick that right in there for the next terrain piece. Remember when I said I'm going to be covering this up here with a lot of plates? I noticed this guy here is even. I was hoping there would be something there to cover that up. It doesn't matter because I'm going to come over that anyways. Let's just see if I can fix that real quick. You make a mistake, you're going to have to kind of wiggle those out. And yeah, let's go ahead and let me move my pillar over one more stud. Right about there. And it's guesswork. And yes, I do back all these builds up in stud when I'm done, so I can revisit it later on and rebuild it if necessary. Of course, by then, I have more bricks, and I can make it even more efficient. Now I have a stud here to connect onto. I have this, so now I can build the terrain up softly there. Now we got that. Let's say I shove that there. All right. Kind of want to bring this out a bit more. Okay, so that's okay. And then just to keep things a little sturdy, I'm just going to do it like this. Okay. Now remember, I'm going to be building up the terrain to about here. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do, since I'm shoving this here, let me just go ahead and grab some green. Something like that right there. This is going to be, this will be 3 exactly. I'm going to probably come down to 2, which probably means I don't even need these. I could probably pull these out. This would be 1.5. Actually, no, that would be 2. So maybe just keep those there, and if I have to go up, I'll just put some plates on top of those. Because taking all this out and constantly ripping stuff out, if you're limited on bricks, that's probably a good idea. I do have a lot of these, so I'm not too worried about it. But if you don't, you can just do that. For me, my luck, I'll probably jinx it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this out and this out here. Okay. I don't want to jinx that any more than I have to. So I'm just going to shove some random colors in there. And then now this is going to be the road to get in, or this will be like the driveway to get into the campsite. Okay, we're going to be able to pull right in there. Okay. Or what I could do, stick that like that. Okay. That means now I can taper up into here. Oh, we got a hole there. Let me get another brick for that. Oh, I do have one right here. That's kind of why I saved these. You never know when you're going to need them. And let's go ahead. Let me backfill that in. Well, let's backfill it in here. Let's grab that. Stick that right there. Backfill it in. And, you know, I mean, it's fine the way it is. Could it use another pillar? There's already a support here. I think it's fine. And let's go ahead. Let me get a 1x2 brick, and we'll fill that little corner in, and then we'll commit to it. And let's just use gray, since that's already marked as gray anyways. Usually there's a lot of soil in the ground, but I don't want to waste a bunch of reddish brown and have it break in this. Okay. And I think that's fine. If you put that in there, here's our driveway to get in here. We got our ground that's tapered off here. That means now I can just plate this here and bring it right here. Okay. Well, I could have bumped these out even more. But don't worry about that, because I can stick some 2x2s in there. So if I come in here and do this, I could raise this thing here, take another one of these, drop it down by a plate. Take another one, drop it down by a plate, and then I'll be right back to here. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. So that's pretty much how it's going to be. I'm going to go ahead, press this down now, because I think I have company here. And it means I'll have to stop, but And that's pretty much about it for the campsite spur. Okay, so now I already have it prepared up for the trailer. Set that right there. We got our broken picnic table we'll have to repair. Here's the fire. Here's the barbecuer. Or you know what you could do too is put your table here, your campfire ring here, and your barbecuer here. Here's the campfire ring, like that. Okay, and that's pretty much about it for this installment. So yeah, this is, I don't know what number this is going to be for this campsite, probably campsite number 6. Okay, but this is camping spur update number 1. Here we're going to add roads. As you can see now, I have everything lined up in such a way, if I can find the bin of 6x8s, that I can come in here and traverse the side of the hill. Looks really good. There it is. But I'm tired. I got company coming over. I got to get this, or I got to stop right now, but that's it. So I think the next installment, before I really get into the roads and stuff, let's worry about campsite spurs first. Get those planned. Once those are planned, then the fun can begin. We can come in and fill all the little holes, get the roads put in, and then it's the easy part. Trees and shrubs. Lots of trees, lots of shrubs. But that's pretty much about it. So I hope everyone enjoyed this update installment series on the campground. This is actually the Campground with Custom Campers Part 2 for the main channel. But this is how I started building my terrains for these. So I hope this will be a benefit for some out there who are going to get into this.